Hello and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn. Now, if you've been around here for a while, you might know that I love making things out of stuff that might otherwise get thrown away. And as a result, there is generally quite a collection of trash sitting in my craft room waiting to be turned into some kind of miniature treasure. Well, every now and again, this means I need to sort through what I've got and be quite brutal, because there's always more interesting things to be found. And what I tend to do is, if I haven't used anything for several years, it tends to go back into the recycling, because if I haven't come up with an idea by that point, whatever originally inspired me to save that item is probably long forgotten. So I tend to get out my bin of waste, go through it and see what I'm inspired to make. And that's kind of what I'm feeling like doing at the moment. So I'm going to get my scraps and waste, and we'll see what we can come up with. The first thing I do when I'm just looking at using stuff randomly is I have a bit of tidy of my desk. Now, over that side of the desk is usually a pile of all sorts of things. I mean, I've got a little pot here which has got all kinds of little leftovers from projects. Sometimes I'll find something in there that I will find useful, sometimes not. But I generally go through the desk because quite often there'll be bits that I've put on there that haven't made it into the treasures bin. And that's what I found today, and that is this really bizarre nail. Now, this came out of something while we were doing some renovations at work. I'm not sure what happened to it, why it ended up like this, but it kind of reminds me of a snake. And I figured if I put this in the right situation, I could do something with that. So, it should have been in the bin. It's ended up in my craft room. But that's my first step. Now, today I haven't actually found a lot of bits to do anything with, but I did find something that inspired me. Now, one thing that I've got a lot of in my stash is the blister packaging of various medications. Now, they are great because you can use them as glass. You can use them if they suit your scale to make things like bakeware, cookware. They're brilliant. And today I'm going to have a go at making some measuring cups. Now, what I've got is I've picked out 3 sizes of blister packs. Now, they're not quite the same because that one's actually flatter on the bottom than the others who've got a nice little bit of roundedness, but they do, I promise, fit together. So I've cut them all out from the strip, and I've left enough to give me a little bit of a handle. I don't want a full-on handle, but I do want enough to be able to give them something. So my next step is going to be to cut them out, and to make sure that any remaining foil is gone. Generally, I don't worry about removing the foil too much because I tend to just cut around them and not use these pieces. This time it's different. So yeah, the best thing is just to sit there and sort of chip away at it with a blade. scalpel type blade on a craft knife is great, and maybe even a little pair of tweezers to help you get hold of the bits. So I'm going to go off and cut these, and then give some consideration to how I'm going to finish them. After I cut my shapes out, I realised that, to be fair, they're actually a little bit on the big side for measuring cups at 1/12 scale. Maybe at 1/6 you could get away with it, but at 1/12 they are a bit big. So I was actually thinking that maybe I'd look at them more as being a set of stacking bowls. They do stack, you can stack them that way, or you can stack them the other. Now, I went with a copper finish because I love those pictures and visiting old houses where they've got the full kitchen display. I think it's called something like a batterie de cuisine, and it's always copper and shiny, and it always looks absolutely amazing. Would I ever replicate that in miniature? Probably not, but there's no reason why I can't have a few hints towards that sort of thing. And so I've got my 3 copper effect dishes. Now if I do this and line this up very, very carefully, I can actually stack them up and they will actually sit as stacked. I have to get them just right. Now it does look a little bit like maybe there's a couple missing, that some have gone missing somewhere along the line, but who hasn't had that happen in the kitchen, that you can't find the one size that you really need when you come for it. But I think from a little bit of blister packaging, that is quite a nice little piece to tuck away in the back of a scene for a little bit of added detail. It is very important to me that the things I'm making I'm actually going to use. I have got now 4 main projects on the go, 3 of which have got some degree of internal detailing. That is all. They're 3 different scales, and obviously the level of internal detail decreases as they get smaller, but that gives me a lot of possibilities for stuff, and I do like putting a lot of details into my properties. And I've said this before, but it's those details that bring the story that you're trying to tell to life. So one thing that I've actually done recently is I've revisited a project that I did at Christmas in a slightly different way. Now these are going to go in the dining room of my 1/12 scale house, and I've made some goblets. Now at Christmas I made some little glasses. I actually made a little pyramid of glasses that looked like they got something in. And if you were really, really daring, you could actually make it look like the liquid is overflowing, but I wasn't quite that brave. So using some more of my what do you call it? Yes, I think what I call it in a moment, the blister packaging, the little ones, I have made some goblets, and I've painted them with a silver effect. And that's actually not one of the better ones. We'll get that one. And they're all slightly off. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me. They look okay from a distance, and that's all that's normally going to be seen is from a distance. And they are a little bit of the blister packaging cut out, stuck onto a bead, and then stuck onto a die cut circle. Not a die cut circle, a punch circle. I use my little single hole punch to punch those, and that's actually 2 layers of cardstock, and then painted, and then they will go on my dining table as a part of a table setting, or maybe they'll go on the side within my dining room, but they're something that I can repeat quite easily, quite a lot. You know, I made half a dozen of these. It didn't take me very long. Cutting the bits of blister packaging took the longest, and waiting for paint to dry. So I can actually make these, repeat these, put them in different places in the room, do more of my removable bits so that I can change the room up without having to move all little bits like this. And of course I could have made them clear, I could have made them glasses, but the beads I found were actually pink, so painting them really was the best option for me. So the other thing I've got quite a few of in my scraps, apart from the blister packaging, is bottle tops. Now this one's a bottle top of a water bottle, and at least in this country quite often water bottle tops are a softer plastic. I don't know if that's the case where you are, but these are softer than you might find on a carbonated fizzy drink. I presume that's because of the pressure. There's no pressure with ordinary water, is there? But obviously if it's carbonated, you need something a bit stronger, because you do get pressure building up behind it. But these are a possibility. Now this one is embossed with the manufacturer. That one I'd probably use to make a stool of sorts. Some description, some kind of legs, cover that up. I've got an instant stool top. Fine. But if you look, and I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, there's a inner ring. You've got the outside of your bottle top with the screw bit, the screw thread bit rather, and then you've got an inside bit which is designed to fit inside the top of the bottle and presumably make a nice tight seal. Well, I thought that would make a nice little tray if I could cut it out, so I gave it a go, and we'll put that one down. This one, which is slightly different and didn't include any branding, and that's the inside with the outer bit cut off. Now there is some writing on the inside, so depending on what I decide to use this for, I may put a little circle of paper in the bottom to cover it, or I might just stick something over it, because if I get my little goblet there, put the goblet on the tray, it will disguise anything that's on there. So this is going to get a paint scheme. I'm not sure whether I'm going to paint it metallic. I think I want to paint it metallic. Now it's quite a high side, and it does remind me of trays that we used to get that were actually from public houses, from pubs, and quite often they used to go walkies, and they had a fairly high side because they were designed for carrying glasses, and obviously you want something to try and protect your glasses from falling off. And yes, back in the day they did used to go walkies, and a lot of people had them in their houses, and they were metal, but they had on the inside they'd have some kind of a logo or something. So I'm not sure. So what I'll probably do is start off by painting it black, because black is a great undercoat if I decide to go metal, and then I can decide what I want to do with it, whether I want to paint it with some colour or whether I want to make it more classy but a little bit boring perhaps. So when I come back, hopefully I'll put some paint on this, and you can see what I've decided to make of it. I painted my tray with a base coat of matte black acrylic, and then for the top coat I've gone with metallic black. Now metallic black isn't as metallic, obviously, as silver or gold is, but it does give a nice finish. And I went with this because I want the tray to look like it's metal, and I didn't fancy trying to get a even coat of something glossy on there. And then for the inside, I went with the logo of a local brewery, because the tray put me in mind of a tray that would have been used in a public house, so I turned it into one. It's not exactly perfect. I haven't got access to a colour laser printer at the moment, and I couldn't remember which of my mediums wouldn't smudge the ink for my printing, so I covered it with some tape, just some ordinary parcel tape, and cut it out then and stuck it into place. So the inside is a lot shinier than the outside, but it doesn't matter because it's, for me, its presence is going to be quite minimal. It may even have things stood on it, even in this scale. But it's something that has a certain amount of relevance, as it was a fairly local brewery, and there were lots of public houses that ran under that brewery when I was growing up. And yeah, it sort of fulfills my kind of, let's include things that mean something to me, have relevance to my life, even if they don't mean a great deal to anybody else. So yeah, I've turned that into a tray. Obviously you could put any kind of image in there that you wanted, a picture, anything like that, just trimmed it down and stuck into place, and it'll work very well. And obviously you can paint this any colour you like. I went with black because, well, in the first place because I didn't know what I was doing with it, and then I was looking for certain things and realised that their trays were black, so there was my answer. It was really yeah, the obvious choice when it came down to it. So I have focused, or tried to focus, on things that are quite general in this video, but in amongst my bin of saved items, I also have leftovers. Now, my leftovers can be part of a box that's been cut down. It can be part of a sheet of something. It can be bits off of something that I've taken apart. And me being me, I have lots of bones in there. I've got an arm and a leg here off a skeleton. I've obviously used the other parts of him for different things, and I'm left with these. And I thought, well, I want to do something with those. I went to a lot of trouble to get all these skeletons, so I'm going to do something. And so what I also found was some of this stuff. Now this is sticky back plastic. If you're the Blue Peter generation, you'll definitely know what it is. But this is that sort of sticky back vinyl covering that you can put on stuff. Now this is left over from something else, but I got a decent sized piece, so I put it in with my treasures. And I thought, although it's not the chalkboard stuff, they do chalkboard one, I have seen that, I thought I can make a mock chalkboard. So I took a piece of mountboard, which was 1 inch by 1.5 inches, and I covered it with some of this. And then I used some of my legs, well, my skeleton's legs, to give me a frame. And this is what I've come up with. It's a little bony chalkboard. Now I know it's got more texture than the chalkboard would have, but in a miniature scene you're not going to notice that because it's going to be on the wall, in the background, that sort of thing. And I haven't done anything else with it yet apart from construct it, because I will get either a fine white paint pen or a white gel pen and write on it when I decide where it's going to go. For instance, if I was going to put it in my kitchen, I could put a shopping list, put a couple of items on there that, you know, don't forget. I could put a to-do list and put it in an office. I could just write a little message, sort of a message in passing, and put it in the hallway, that kind of thing. I don't know yet. It depends where I decide to put it. But it's given me a very me little piece of decor that is ready when I need it, and that will go into my little stash. I do have a little stash of finished pieces, some of which are meant for particular rooms and some of which are just because. This is a just because. So obviously you could do the same idea with something other than bones for your frame. Maybe some coffee stove sticks, although they might still be a bit big. Perhaps if you'd got some of that small square dowel, you could use that. That might work. Again, it's up to you, but it's another idea from leftovers. And I don't know about you, but I get a lot of leftovers making minis. And when you buy something because you really want to have a go at making something, and you make 2 or 3, maybe half a dozen, and then you think, what am I going to do with this if I use all of those to make whatever it is? I'm going to be left with a lot of them, and it's something that, to be fair, can quite often be something that everybody's making. So you think, well, is anybody going to want it? What do? You tend to put the materials aside, and then they just sit there. So I do like coming up with other ways of using things. And with my little skeletons, I really like finding uses for the bits that I don't find so easy to use. And here we have my 4 completed filler projects. I call them fillers because that's what they do. They fill my scenes. They fill my shelves, they fill my tabletops. They give the extra character that my miniature scenes need. I am never going to be a minimalist miniaturist, and you won't believe how many times it has taken me to get that right, because I only have that space to tell a story. I can explain to you all I like, that this is this and that and the other, but if I'm showing somebody a photo of one of my rooms and they can't see that this is somebody that is a bit of a hoarder, in the case of my attic, as a witch in the case of my witch's workroom, whatever it is, it doesn't work. I need the details to tell that story for me. And whilst I will put in sort of feature pieces that definitely sort of are more in your face, I need the stuff that fills in, and these are great for that. And the fact that they're made from trash and leftovers, even better. If you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you have, please like, comment and subscribe. Ring that notification bell so that you've got half a chance of knowing when I put my next video up. And until next time, bye.